Hello, I'm so happy that you're back joining me today. I've decided to take a trip down memory lane. I was in my closet where my old journals were, and I decided to have a little nostalgia rest last evening and looked through my various pieces. And when I came to Monna Vanna, my first altered book, I realized that I missed working in this journal. And so I've decided that this year I'm going to work in places and do art that I love, and Monna Vanna qualifies in every way. I found this book, and it was just shouting at me. Monna Vanna by Maurice Maeterlinck is a rather old book, so I'll share it with you for a moment before we begin. We have a picture of him, and it's a translation from Harper and Brothers, which of course when it says and Brothers, that's an old book. And yes, it was published in 1903. And so these pages are deliciously distressed without having to be coffee dyed. And here was my first piece on the 5th of November in 2016. And I remember on this one, I used some of my watercolor iridescent on top of the acrylic paint, and it just worked a treat there. I also, because these pages, I wasn't sure of how they would react. I didn't want them to be too crisp. I glued two together with a glue stick. So our next one was this little girl that I drew, and here again I was using some of that iridescent and some collage and some small stencils. And again in November, a combination of collage, some stenciling, some pen, and now my first double spread in the middle of December. The only collage bits are here, 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 this, and this. Much background work with, as you can see, with stenciling, some pen, some stamps, a little bit of that iridescent for the center of the flowers. Here I was celebrating Christmas in this, in Monna Vanna, and all of these little bits of collage, I believe, came from magazines, my Victoria probably, and these narrow bits of stencils, I still have them. I added some words for the season, and I know that this, when I fussy cut this, I was very particular about getting that little angel and all out in one piece, and it was great fun. And as you can see, it's an old book, and it's a sewn signatures. And here, I did something at the very last day. I used some of my stitchery bits that I had been keeping, and I thought, no, this is a celebratory spread for me. And so I included 2 pieces in Monna Vanna because I so love this altered book. This is an entirely large piece of collage for the background, and a bit of it that was left over here, and another bit of it here with some raised, to give a little dimensionality, those foam stickies. And I used some needlepoint canvas, Find an Old Friend on a New Path. And this is a painted stencil. And I just, as you can see, I'm so happy that I've decided to go back to Monna Vanna. Here in January is another piece of stitchery that I did. I included it in a video, and I'm wondering if I shouldn't do some more of that, because it certainly does add to this page. This is a flower that I drew onto the page. There's a little tiny bit of collage here. Napkins, and all of these napkins were attached with glue stick, so there's no buckling under them. So that was an experiment that worked out. Here is a combination of everything. My own hand cut out of manila folders stencils, commercial stencils. This I had in my stash, so I connected 2 of the pages in Monna Vanna and cut so that I could include that that tag. One of my girl faces. Stenciling, many layers, and some collage, of course. Another stencil and a combination this time. The reason I have this in here is because this is water-soluble oil pastels. And I haven't had any difficulty with it because I'm old school. I didn't spray. I wasn't sure how these pages would take the chemicals, so when in doubt, waxed paper. Here's another little girl that I drew to commemorate that front one, and some buildings that I added. Blues and pinks. Some of these papers are some of my very original gel printing. Some I can feel that this is also some bits of napkins on there. And this one, oh my, this one's got some of my original learning when I was learning to do mixed media. And I just have quite a collection here of pieces of paper that I really loved, and then I added, and I just had, this was just a fun page to do. Here, some shades of neutrals, my very favorite, and of course some of my, the gold is stenciling, is Joe Sonia, my Joe Sonia, and some glue-ons, make-believe metal. Another tiny piece that I had left of my my stitchery. These were things that I did to practice stitches and so forth. So here we have quite a bit of collage, vibrant background, and the focal of the piece of stitchery. And I skipped a few pages because I was afraid of what would happen, and absolutely nothing has happened to this book. It's another, excuse me, this is another example of the quality of the old pages. one piece of collage here and one on this side. Christmas, 12/17. All of these bits were, I think, again, these were from Victoria magazine. Many, many, many little pieces of collage put together here. Some of my much-loved shimmer egg paint on top of the acrylic. I did not paint this little girl. This was a digi from Christy Sobolewski. And that is the end of what I've done in this book. But I have all of this left, and I'm going to play. And today, I have this that was in a chopped journal, reverse collage, and I'm doing it because of that, those words. And you, any of you who know, have been with me and are a subby or have been watching my videos, you know that junk journaling is that new passion that I'm referring to. So, those are ready to go. I ripped them, because I wanted a little bit of white contrast, so I'm not going to do anything to those edges. And here, two nice pages glued together, and I'm off to the races. I'm going to work first on, I want to put just a little bit of background on there. So I've gotten out my Ceramcoat Rain, R-A-I-N, Rain Gray, and just going to put a slight dab on there, and I'm going to use this stencil, and I'm going to again try to not cover up that that word Monna Vanna, because I liked it to show on each page as if I possibly can. Sometimes not, but we'll see what happens here. We'll see just what happens here now. Let's see what we have. Oh, yes. Yes. All right, set that aside to dry. And now, on this side, I believe I'm going to use some Stays On Dove Gray, which is very nice and pale. And I'm just going to stress this page a bit with some of this gray Stays On. Maybe a little bit over here too. Just a little bit over here now that I'm seeing that I like it. Whoops, let me just tuck this in for good measure. Over here now. While I'm doing this, I might as well work on the edge of these pages. And I love the torn edges on some of the very old books. page down. Got to use my Scotch Permanent. Oh, one would hope they're all permanent, wouldn't we? Okay, let's see. I use this because if I use this book, I can go right over the edge and make sure the edge is well covered with glue. Now, this one here should work a treat. Very good, and this one. Interesting glue stick. It's kind of shiny, almost wet looking. Maybe that's why it says permanent. Go. No words. So true to my art life at this time. Now, to make sure that these that's permanent, yes. Parallel to this top of the page. All right, I can put that away now. And what next? This is, I used to love this children's drawing paper from Dollar Tree. Now, I'm thinking this is time for a little play. Because of the shape of those flowers, I think I want to bring them out a little bit. Yes, I do. I'm not going to use the pencil. I'm going to use my Uniball Signo number 207. And off we go. And this paper just loves these Uniballs. Let's have a little bit of this effect around that center. let's have some centers here, and then we'll see what we're going to do with them. And I think these would have rather lacy, droopy leaves, so that will do there. And then from behind here, I'm going to want one that comes all the way up. All the way up. This is just a suggestion of the pink stenciled flowers. Now, to make things right, we should have, well, a little one up here. So, let's do that. Get those centers in. Get the centers on here first. What to do there? I think I'm going to keep the centers dark to play up that bit of black. I'm going to rummage about and get some sparkly bits here. I'll be right back. So as you can see, I found out what would work and what wouldn't on this sketch of mine. So I used some of the Tombow number 725, the pink for the centers, and I used some of the glaze black for the centers. And believe it or not, the after testing for silver, the best one turned out to be good old-fashioned Sharpie to do some of the petals on those flowers. Now, it took differently on the heavier paper. This paper was rather porous. I didn't use clear gesso on this page, so I had to do the best that I could. I decided I want a little bit more shine here, just around the edges, and so I've gotten out my Target's Metallic Sterling. I've used it quite a few times to good effect, so you know, we have a lot of soft lines here, so I thought I would add a little bit of harder lines here and there, and we'll see what we think. Yes, just a little bit of, just a touch of something around the edges here. Just a little bit more down here along the bottom. And down on this side. Check. Yes, that's what we needed. Yes, we did. Just a little more down here at the bottom. And a little up there at the top. Just had a brainstorm. Here goes. Up goes the brainstorm again. Yes, yes, yes. Let's do a little bit more. When all else fails, overdo. I'm thinking this might make a nice statement on that black. Let's see if I was right. Oh yes. Oh yes. And my uniball, there you are. If you have enjoyed this quick trip down memory lane, I would appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with a friend, and I would appreciate your subscribing to my channel. I'm going to just pick out some of these. I hope that I remember to work some more in Monna Vanna because it's been great fun. The next time, I'll put in my memory bank that I need to treat this to some Finnabair's clear gesso because it's not gritty. But let's look at Truer Words for Carol. Oh yes, don't those bits of Target paint show a bit of silver if the light hits them just correctly? Bye now.